3, 2, 1. Big Ian Donaghy. You are a speaker, a conference host, an author, and a trainer. But I think more than all of that, you're seen as a voice of positivity, which when the world is facing so many challenges, I think it's positivity that's going to play a huge part in helping people get through the coronavirus epidemic. So, Big Ian, a really big welcome to the Care Home Show.
How do you do? It's a pleasure to be here. Slightly odd in a waistcoat, tie, shirt, and a pair of Nike shorts and a pair of Nike trainers that you can't see.
So you're one of the few people that are willing to admit that they're wearing business attire on top and then shorts below. You've made me feel better because I'm wearing Nike shorts and Nike
Good lad.
socks as well.
I'm like Angela Rippon on Markman Wise when the desk went past and she suddenly started, let's face the music and dance.
Oh, tremendous. Most of my audience will have at the very least seen some of your social media content, so they'll probably have some understanding of you, but for the people that I think need to see the bigger picture and understand the story behind the man, please can you tell me a little bit about you personally and really how you've ended up doing what you do?
Well, you've got a very short time, so let's put it this way. Born in the northeast, County Durham, I was in the mining village. I was a bit like Billy Elliot, but I couldn't dance. Grew to the mighty size of 28 stone 8. I was a dorm and a bouncer in Durham. I then went away to university, went to be a school teacher. I couldn't get a nice job in a leafy lane school, so I ended up working in special education where they loved me to be. So I worked with kids with learning disabilities, Down syndrome, behavioural problems. I then went on to teach for the Home Office, running crime reduction in secondary schools. Then I did teaching for 18 years, got to assistant sort of head level. And then I spoke at a conference one day, and it was all about how education wasn't really working and how we were comparing everybody with everybody else, where we should just look at the ingredients we've got and then from there, somebody saw me at that conference and said, we need to take that approach into the world of the dementia care. So I did some retraining. I left the career path that I was on. I left that. And then I went into something, and care was different to education, because care was all about the people in it, celebrating the people who they cared for, whereas teaching was a lot. Every staff room was either about hearing teachers tell you how good they were or how dreadful the students were. And so I got into the world of care, did some retraining. I worked for a company. I designed all their training resources. People started taking notice. I then wrote a book called Dear Dementia that was published and sold all over the world. And then I was doing conference speaking and all manner of stuff. I wrote another book called The Missing Piece. And now people ring us up. I'm just me and a phone. I don't have a fancy office. I don't have a team. It's just me. I make films. I write content. And what I do is try and celebrate the best practice that's happening out there. And I make a mockery of the stuff that's ridiculous. If something's ridiculous, it needs calling out. So all I say is, what I do now, everything I think, I say, and I do completely overlap. And I will champion everybody who works in care, and I will champion everybody who's doing something amazing for people who are living with dementia or people with learning difficulties or whatever. That's what I'm about. I just want to share the good stuff and just call out the bad stuff.
There's a real people talk about straight talking Northerners. I certainly think that you fit that category, and I think that the way that you've chosen for that to manifest with you personally is awesome, because let's be honest, I think in care there is a lot of nonsense. Unfortunately, there's some very kind of old school, antiquated kind of behaviours and stuff like that, which is a real shame, because most of the sector, the vast majority of the sector, are doing incredible things all of the time. There's kind of this really small proportion of people that haven't kind of made the transition into almost into the new world as such. But no, I think it's really, really important what you do. And let's be honest, there are so many unsung heroes in care, both the people receiving care and both the people delivering care. So it's tremendous that you give those people not give them a voice, but you're able to kind of share their voice and amplify it, especially on social media, which similarly to myself, we're both fairly prolific when it comes to a content perspective, which is part of the joy of getting to record the episode with you today. So tell me a little bit about social media for you personally, and why it's so important for you.
Initially, I thought social media was ridiculous. Why would anybody want to sort of see what's going on in your life? But I don't use it as seeing what's going on in my life. I use it to show people what's going on in other people's lives. If you go through all the stuff on Twitter or the stuff on LinkedIn, very little of it is about me, because can I be right? I'm not that interested. But the people who I meet on a daily basis, right? I'm down as some sort of motivational speaker. They are the motivation. They are the content. They are what it's all about. The ideas that they're doing and making real are what it's all about. Now, social media is all about, right? An idea is pointless and worthless in one man's hand. So what you've got to do, you've got to use that social media to share good ideas. And that's all I see it as, is just a great way of sharing brilliant ideas. Now, the thing that is incredible is some of these brilliant ideas have gone all around the world. My little book, Dementia, has gone to 24 different countries. Films I've made have been used as trailers, right, all over the place. And a film that we made called React to Dementia, which was called Lost and Found, that we made before Christmas, has been used in Australia to interview new care staff, the next generation of care staff. And they show the part of that film that's all wrong, where it's all wrong, where the lady gone is sad and she's disappearing and all this sort of thing. And what they do is they show them the film and then they say, put that right. What's wrong with it? And put it right. And that's their interview. Now, how big a buzz is that? I made that just in Nottingham, right? And it's gone worldwide. It's being used all over the place. Places in America saying, we're using that as part of our staff training. That's what it is. It's sharing things, and it's sharing them to an amazing place. And it just works a treat. It's a medium that works, and short, punchy content, get in, get on, get out, works a treat.
You know what I love about that? I mean, I'm obviously a proponent of social media and creating content, given what I do. But it's my inspiration for setting up the podcast in the first place was it's scalable and it's got the potential to reach like an infinite number of people. Now, it sounds like your content's gone far and wide, further than ours has as of yet. But that's one of the great things about it. If you've got a powerful message, if you've got useful information, if you've got something that's going to provide somebody with a spark, some inspiration for them to encourage them to do greater work, whether that be care or whether that be anything else, that's fuel for people. That's like energy. And I think let's be honest, care can be a difficult job, whether it be kind of frontline worker through to the CEO of a care home business. It doesn't matter what kind of part of the organization you work for. There's probably easier ways of kind of having a living if you like. Being able to inject some real positivity and some real energy into people that are making a difference to people's lives around the world is it's awesome. And that's why you've got the profile that you have, and that's why it's part of the reason why it's taken us a year for you and me to have this conversation, because it was almost a year exactly that we started chatting, because we were going to meet at the Excel Centre the one time. If you remember, you met my friend Hutchison. I was out at another event and we said, we're going to create a podcast together. And then every time I messaged you, you said, Simon, I'm busy. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And this. So,
and how shocking is it that Excel Conference Centre is now a Nightingale hospital for thousands of people? Do you know what I mean? That's where we are now. That's where we are now. So it, mind you, it's quite drastic measures to get me onto the podcast that you've, it's taken something like this to get me to sit down and not be on the road doing stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It's strange, isn't it? I mean, obviously we're doing all of our podcasts using Zoom calls rather than doing it in the physical location. But in some ways it's made it slightly easier, because obviously I can connect with you when you're on the other side of the country for all intents and purposes. I'm probably going to be doing some podcasts with some operators over in America as well. And if anyone hears this who's running care businesses in other parts of the world, please message me. It'd be great to get your perspective on how you're all dealing with things at the moment. But that scalability, that ability to reach a lot of people makes the platform itself very, very exciting, and it's your proof of concept, if you like, the fact that yeah, if you've got a good message and you've got that fuel that you can share with people, that it has a really, really positive impact. Because that's why you've been so busy for the last year and however so long, because people appreciate people appreciate the appreciation, people appreciate the energy that they get from you, because you're definitely a high energy guy, Big Ian. I think that's fair to say.
Well, another thing that people like is, I'm not about the CEOs. I'm not about the top brass in all of this. I see care as like having the yolk of an egg, and the yolk are the people who we care for. And I'm all about the white of the egg and the shell of the egg. I'm about the people that protect the yolk on a day-to-day basis, that are in the care home today, that are working hard today. And can I be honest, when you remove all of the layers, that are in care, you can't remove that layer, because they're the bit that protect the yolk. And they are the people who are celebrated. They're the people they're the unskilled people, apparently. The unskilled people. All I would say is to all of these people, unskilled carer, right? Unskilled care worker or whatever. Do you know what? Do the job for a morning, then you tell me how unskilled you feel, right? Because people haven't got a clue. They haven't got a clue. They think that it's making mugs of tea, right, and doing other stuff, right? And there's so much more to it. It's about, that is the background noise. Giving medication is the background noise. Keeping people safe, warm, and well fed is the background noise there. It's the connections. It's the interactions. It's reminding somebody who they are. It's about reminding them who they are and how they can make them feel better and give them the today that they deserve. And if that's unskilled, well, I tell you what the hell is skilled?
Big time. I just can't agree more with it. I've been in social sets of circumstances outside of kind of the care world, if you like, and I've heard when the subject of care comes up, I've heard people talk about unskilled workers, and firstly, it's the beginning of a pleasant but fairly assertive dressing down of the person saying that thing, just to make sure that they've got, and everyone else in the room's got a really, really clear idea of what an incredibly skilled worker a care worker is, and just try and help them put it in context for them, to help them to see that the people on the front line of care, these are heroes. These are people, especially at times like this, under so much pressure. People that are going above and beyond to make sure the vulnerable people get everything that they need, want, desire in their life, which I think is so important.
I think one thing that's going to come out of this is that when all the dust settles, people will realise that people who are working in the NHS and people who are working in social care have parity, and that these people are truly invaluable, and that these aren't things that are going to be shortchanged in the future, because people are realising money means nought. At this moment in time, right, you can have very little money or you can be a billionaire and you are still stuck in your house, right? And that's it. Like my wife said to me, "Oh, just check the lottery numbers, see if we won." I said, "Well, if we have, what we're going to do? Buy more jigsaws?" And that's pretty much it at the moment in time, because money doesn't matter at the moment. We are, it's a level playing field, and we realise what matters and who matters and what doesn't matter. And that's why we care. That's why we're realising the importance of sitting together to eat food. Meals become something else. They are a highlight of the day. A walk out in the fresh air, enjoying nature, is a highlight of the day. Togetherness with your family is to be appreciated. Isn't it a shame that it took the world stopping for us to realise just what we are?
There's two really, really important parts of that, Ian, that I just want to dissect a little bit. So firstly, I think one of the, and let's not underplay the massive negative impact that coronavirus is going to have on the world today and in the future. But if we can look for a silver lining, I think what you mentioned around getting getting care workers and people working in the NHS on a level playing field. This is something I've always been big on, but it's something that I've been pushing particularly hard at the moment because I want to try and do my bit to try and help people to understand and to put into context. Social care in the NHS, it's although one is effectively government run, one is effectively private run to a large extent. It's all one part of all part of one big machine that makes sure that people get cared for, and it should be recognised as such. That the people deserve the same level of respect. I think one thing that a lot of people don't realise is the fact that in the NHS, it's my understanding that there are 150,000 beds. Again, this isn't to underplay it, but in social care, there's 450,000 beds. We're talking almost 3 times the number of people, and the amount of people that the NHS and the social care world employ. It's almost the same. Social care is 1.6 million, and then the NHS is 1.4. And unfortunately, up until recently, social care seems to have been the kind of the cousin that nobody was interested in talking to type set of circumstances. It's the thing that really gets me is the fact that, well, why is that the case? Why have people in social care ended up in a situation where they're seen not to have the same kind of level of respect of people in the NHS? And again, this isn't to underplay the incredible work that the NHS does, but it's about parity. I've heard stories about the CEOs and the kind of representative bodies of having to write letters to the CEOs of Tesco's and Aldi and Waitrose and all the big supermarkets to say, hang on a second, guys, yeah, you need to be supporting the NHS workers, but our team are pulling 16-hour shifts. Our team are living in care homes for days upon on end when they've got their own families that they'd be perfectly entitled to go and spend time with, but they're not. They're not. They're looking after vulnerable people in society, and it's taken a crisis for this to be this point to be put onto the map. But
it's being done now. It's being done now, and that's the good news. Like, you know, now the Prime Minister's talking about, you know, he's not just sort of paying lip service. He is mentioning, you know, social care work, and he's the Queen. What, you know, yesterday, it's now there that we're now realizing that people are all kicking the same way. We're all wanting the same things for people, and that's what we want. It's a terrible shame that it takes, but you know what? I can't help but think that in future, there's going to be more of a join. There's going to be more collaboration, because it really is the same team, and we all kicking towards the same goal. That's what we want. We want to give the people the life that they deserve. We want to keep families together. And when it comes to end of life, we need to treat everybody's last day on the planet as valuably as their first day on the planet. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a sneaking suspicion we could continue talking about that and championing both the NHS and the social care world and to the hilt. So I'm going to change gear just a little bit. One thing that I thought would be worthwhile bringing up, I hear rumblings that there may be some more filmmaking going on. I don't know whether you can tell me everything about this at the moment, because I appreciate some of it might be hush-hush, but what are you able to reveal about this, Big Ian? Because I think people will be very interested to hear what the next project looks like for you.
Well, I've got 3 on the go. 3 on the go at the moment. There's one that is the most amazing piece of filmmaking. It was just astonishing. A lady asked us to do a thing called React to End of Life. It's similar to the React to Dementia thing, only about end of life. And she was dying. She was dying in Wren Hall in Nottingham, and she wanted me to come and make a film. I just made a film, me and her, and about what mattered to a lady who was leaving the planet. And that's going to be appearing later in the year. I've just been working on a film to recruit the next generation of nurses and nursing associates in social care.
Wow.
Now, this is a big deal because, there has been recruitment films about how to get people to become district nurses in the community and stuff like that, and then in NHS hospital nurses. But nursing is nursing. And because it's in a care home doesn't mean it's not nursing. It's the same thing. It's clinical expertise with the people they are experts in. And so we're doing this film, and I've got it 3 cornered, but I'm editing that at home. The content is just astonishing. The passion that people have, the work that they do, and everything, it just matters. It hurts. On a bad day, it hurts them. And that shows you just something matters.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, that's amazing. So that
Right.
so
Go on, carry on.
Project. Sorry, did you say that there's one more as well in there too?
Yes, there's another one that I can't tell you about, but I'll just say I've been involved in some pretty groundbreaking little short films about dementia. This film, I dare say, will debut at a conference whenever conferences happen again. Is about the most amazing thing involving care staff and dementia and one of their colleagues, made at Landermeads in Nottingham. And I tell you what, it is, like we cried making it, never mind watching it. And I think it'll be heartwarming and heartbreaking in equal measure, but it'll just show you just how amazing people are working.
I think again that's part of the reason why you've been so successful in sharing this message, because you're not afraid to have the difficult conversation. The type of things that you're talking about are highly emotive, and because of that, they're so impactful. When we were messaging over the weekend, you were sharing some of the content, some of which I'd seen and some of which I hadn't. But the one video just really got me, and it was just super impactful. But it's the production, the subject matter, the people that are involved and things, they really do pull on the heartstrings, and I think that's how they've managed to achieve the level of impact that they have, because we're talking about stuff it's kind of is primal, maybe the right word. Like we're all affected by our mortality, if you like, and being able to kind of connect people to the journey of what happens up until that point, and in the kind of last couple of days, especially with that the what you were talking about before with the end of life video. I think you'd have to be pretty stone cold not to be able to get kind of emotions from that. But again, it's done in a way which is, it seems positive and optimistic as well, which I think it just adds a kind of another layer of emotion to a lot of the work that you do, which is very cool. Well,
somebody said, about the stuff I do, be it live or be it written or be it as a film, and they say, it makes people laugh, it makes people cry, but it makes people think. And what I do is I try and put people into the shoes of the person that's on the screen, and sympathy, because that's what care's about. Care is empathy. It's about understanding what somebody else is going through and trying to make things as good as you can for them. And so, that's what it's all about. Whether it's the filmmaking, I wrote a book called The Missing Piece that was all about how people survive losing people. And by the way, this coronavirus, we'd written a play that was on in York at the Joseph Roundtree's Theatre, running from April the 17th to the 19th. And as you can imagine, it's all shut down. So that's going to be later in the year. But you know what? Big deal. It'll be fine. I'm meant to be in Boston and Chicago this week and next week, by the way. But it doesn't matter. It's so much more rewarding being in my bedroom talking to you there.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, sir. Having been to Boston and Chicago, I know that they're amazing cities, but they'll still be there. They'll still be there later on. You'll have your opportunity there.
I'll be there.
Go and spread the
They'll be.
spread the good word. So, one thing that I was thinking about, I think a lot of people will be really interested to know, how does somebody with all of your energy cope with the world coming to such an abrupt halt?
Well, everybody comes to me usually because I'm positive, I'm jolly, I'm all this sort of. So if someone's having a bad day, they usually ring me up, and then I sort of give them a little lift. And then some people think, well, do you run out of lift? Do you run out of it? And you've just got to look at what to be grateful for. You've got, if they're tough, this isn't tough. This isn't tough for me, right? It's tough for other people. It's tough for people who are going to work in hospital. It's tough for somebody who's going to work in a care home. It's tough for somebody who's doing domiciliary care, going around somebody's various houses in the community to make sure that somebody's all right. Going around desert islands as the sort of little man Friday who's there, the only ship that they'll see all day. That's tough. What I'm doing ain't tough. So people can come to me and I can be positive because I can celebrate what I'm getting out of this. This is an opportunity to develop, right? This downtime is an opportunity to develop. It's an opportunity to do some writing. It's an opportunity to develop some skills. It's an opportunity to do things slightly different because the world is doing the same things slightly differently. And I've had this as part of this campaign, Dementia Team Game, from the off. It says, dementia is a team game. Do the same things slightly differently. And that's what the world is doing. So we're all adapting to this. And so I'm coping quite well with all this. I've started doing some writing. I'm doing some editing of some creative stuff that I know that when the world starts spinning again is going to make a massive impact and people are going to be very welcome. I am celebrating everybody I can. There was a shortage of PPE stuff and thermometers. I was so bored one day. I took it as an apprentice style task. And I thought, right, I got onto all the big suppliers and they said, you can't get a tympanic thermometer anywhere. They've run out. So I got on to a load of different people, a load of former nurses, former GPs, any of those. And then what I did was I took a delivery to some care homes that I do work for, and I just dropped it off at the door. Said, there you go. Next thing. And I've just got a call, actually, just before I came on here, that some visors that have been made in York, I'm going to get them to some care homes to help with the people at the front line doing this. Because that's all you can do. You can't, I'm to be able to be there, but I'm not allowed in. I'm not allowed in. And I'm a hands-on kind of guy. And this is very frustrating. But do you know what? Who knows how long it's for, but it won't be forever. So long as everybody does as they're asked. And they're not being asked the world here. They're not being asked the world. Right? I'm able to get 15,000 steps in a day in the countryside near my house, and I bump into nobody. I am going to be getting into I'll be able to pull the back of this waistcoat and make it a little snugger, right? Because I'm going to be fit as a fiddle at the end of this, right? I'll have eaten better, and I won't have been eating pasties on the road, when, there's a face that knows what it's like when you're eating on the road. So there's a lot to be celebrated in this, and we just need to come out of it better, not worse. We've got to focus on one another. We've got to celebrate one another. We've got to love one another. And the one thing we've got to realize as parents, this isn't about us. This is about our kids, right? They didn't ask to be part of this world. We brought them in here. And our children have had some of their childhood stolen here, right? Now, my children are fortunate in that one did GCSEs yet, and one hasn't started his GCSEs yet. But there's a lot of children out there who've had the final furlong of their race stolen off them by something they can't see. They've climbed that mountain all of their educational life, and they can't put the flag in the top. A pools panel will be determining the grade of somebody at GCSE or A level this year. And that maybe that's going to give them a draw maybe, when they would have worked hard and they could have got a fantastic victory. We need to realize how tough this is on our children, not on us. So we have to be the best mums, the best dads, the best whatever. We need to think that this is about our children here. And we need to make sure that they learn from this and that they get something from this. But do you know what? They've had the stuff stolen from them here.
I think one of the big things that you've mentioned a couple of times, which I think is really important for everyone to try and take hold of, that's gratitude. I'm like, everyone's life has had to change, as you say, but you can find ways to make it more positive. And I think if you don't look for those ways to make it more positive and take ownership for things, then it will be very difficult to see those silver linings. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in London. Like, we don't have that much space. What have I done? I've got myself some kettlebells and I'm swinging them every day, because it wouldn't be the right thing for me to do to leave the flat any more than I'll go for a jog once a week, just to go and kind of stretch my legs. Haven't got all the space in the entire world, but now what I've got is time. Like you mentioned, you've started doing writing, you're doing your production side of things. I'm trying to create more content. I'm I'm doing more kind of just pro bono stuff, just speaking to people, trying to spread a bit of positivity, trying to work with operators to try and help out with some of their challenges. We're developing a product internally that we'll be launching later on in the year. We can launch it earlier now because we've had all of this extra time. Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit sad that I can't go and see some of my clients. I've got a great pub around the corner that I'd love to go for a pint on a Friday. I can't do it anymore, but that's the set of circumstances. There's a wonderful guy called Charlie Munger, who I can't remember exactly what he said, but it's one of my favorite quotes. He says something to the effect of, if you're ever presented with a set of circumstances that you've got no choice about, that isn't your favorite set of circumstances, or not your favored set of circumstances, you might as well make it your favorite set of circumstances, because you don't have any choice. And that's kind of the mindset that I'm going into this. It's not ideal, but I think if everyone can kind of look for the opportunities to take positivity from the situation, then that'll do an awful lot for the kind of the general well-being of the people in the UK and the rest of the world as well. Because let's be honest, it's a difficult set of circumstances, and if we only focus on the negative side of things, then that'll be even more of a kind of a net loss, if you like, for the people. To your point, we need to make sure that the world coming out of this is better than the world going into it, because we will learn lessons along the way.
Correct. Well, I think there's a new pandemic, right? The new pandemic isn't going to be COVID-19. It's going to be kindness 20, because initially you get all of the people smoking themselves out to be, can I just have mine first? Me. I'll grab a load of toilet rolls. I'll grab all the milk. I'll grab all the bread. And they get smoked out, right? People just, and I tell you what, people aren't having that, right? Society's policing itself, and we are not allowing that to happen. Now, that got out the way early doors. And so what you get now is stories of kindness. You get stories of people with plates of food, right, with tin foil over the top, walking down the street and leaving it on somebody's doorstep. You're knowing that Barbara, right, the little lady down the street who used to have a dog, is now called Barbara. And you know about her, and you know what she needs, and you find out all these things, and you realize that George up the road likes your wife's and daughter's and son's banana cake. And so you make a banana cake and you cut half of it there and you do that. And that's what we're finding. We're finding kindness. We're finding something where it's a simple community. We've gone back in time. We really have. It's a simpler time. It's a bit like me. I grew up in County Durham, right? And County Durham, like, we got gas in 1990 and feminism's due soon. But it really is, a simple time. And it reminds me of growing up in the 70s, where you knew everybody down the street. And if somebody made something nice, they'd bob it into the house and say, I've made some lovely buns. There you go. I've made some lovely cakes. I've made a pie. There you go. And that was what it was about. And I think we're getting back to it. And I tell you what, the world will be a better place. It's as if Mother Nature has said, I gave you all this, and look what a mess you've made of it. And so it's almost as if we needed to, like all our gadgets now, we needed to turn them off and switch them back on again, and maybe just treat them a bit more carefully, a bit more care. And you know what? I'm hoping the rest of the world, not just the world of care, but the rest of the world realizes how much more we need to care for one another and give an eye to one another.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've seen it with my own parents. My parents are 72 and 73. They're very active. They live a healthy lifestyle and things, but they've lived in the same house for 35 years. And because people kind of come and go and stuff like that, they didn't know half their neighbours, almost to a T. Every single person has kind of knocked on the door or kind of waved in just to check in, just to make sure that they're okay. And it's a little thing, but it's kindness, as you say, and it's so simple. But that act of kindness, that little thing that it's just another little thing to make the world go round.
I got on the phone as soon as all this started. We do a thing called Christmas Presents in York, where we do Christmas Day for older people who live alone. And so I got this, and I thought, I'll ring people and see if they're all right, see what they need, see if they're all, just keep an eye on them. And I got a feeling of uselessness, of being surplus to requirement. So I'd say, oh, I'm fine. The two families down the street are sorting us out with everything. I got onto somebody else. Grace, what about this? And she went, oh, it's fine, because the people who live across the road have checked on me, as have the person next door. Do you know what? All of these people have come from nowhere, that stepped out of the chorus line, and they were the superstars, the top villain, and they were looking after people who they'd never really much time for before. And that legacy, they're not going to stop talking to people. They're not going to stop doing nice things for people. They're going to be aware of who lives down their street, and community. And community is the big winner of this. We are seeing the importance of community. If we just look after the people around us, that is the world sorted. It is the world sorted, right? If everybody in the world just looks after the people that are around them and make sure that they're all right, that is the world sorted.
And that's what will create the next pandemic. Kind 20.
Kindness 20. You watch it. It's going to be everywhere. And I tell you what, I don't want a vaccine for it ever. I want everybody to get it. I want everybody just to be smothered in it, and they can touch their face and they can pick their nose and they can do anything, because kindness 20 is the new pandemic. And I tell you what, I can't wait.
Yeah, you and me both. Well, I look forward to helping you make that one go viral. That's the word that the world needs. So, Big Ian, tell me, what's your view? How long is it going to be before we regain any level of normality?
Well, if I had the answer, believe me, I would be in a more important office than I am today. We don't know. As my daughter said, Dad, it's like we're all queued up outside the exam hall and nobody knows the answers. Not even the teachers know the answers. The people who mark the papers don't know the answers. We're going in to an exam without knowing what the questions are or what the answers are. All we can do is go with it. We can just go with it. There's going to be waves, there's going to be all manner of stuff, there's going to be criticism. Criticize. What I would say is, what would you do different? What would you do different? All these people who have off ideas, and I don't care what political party you are, what religious belief you are, you know, unless you've got a better idea, just let people get on with it. And we just got to think, right, we're in this together. We're in this together. When I see people acting irresponsibly, they might as well be wandering around shooting a gun randomly. We need to have a group responsibility here. And do you know what? If you know somebody, right, who really is letting the side down, you've got to tell them. We've got to police ourselves on this. We've got to have brothers and sisters say, listen, don't go around to visit me mum. Don't go around to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not a joke, right? Let's be right here. This Scotland just resigned. Well, I tell you what, just because they've said, do as I say, not as I do. Well, we all need to back it up. We all need to walk the walk, and we all need to make sure that this isn't a rehearsal. This isn't a game. This isn't some film, right? This is real life, and we need to protect everybody around us. That's it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's the big thing, isn't it? The more we stick together, the the more kindness that we share for ourselves and for our community, the sooner we're going to be out of this mess, and the sooner we're going to then we can go and focus on the next pandemic of kindness 20. So yeah, hear what you're saying. And what's your view on, so as a positive and optimistic guy that just radiates energy and warmth, what do people need to do to stay positive and stay optimistic?
Well, I think you've got to sleep well, you've got to eat well, you've got to exercise well, you've got to love the people who you're with. My little lad, we're playing basketball every day, we're boxing every day, we've got a boxing setup. You know, my wife's doing circuits in the garden with the kids. We're out together, we're cooking together, we're playing guitar together, we're singing together, we're doing things that we enjoy doing. And celebrate this time you have. My daughter's 17 next week. And she said, Dad, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't be spending this much time with you. Now, you know, she's got a life, she's got a social life, she's got boyfriends, she's got all this. And she's stuck with her dad in this house. A mum, a dad, and a brother who's mildly irritating and mildly amazing, depending on the day. And we just need to think, right, we've got this time, we've got together. People who are missing their work, and many are, right, you've just got to think, why do you go to work in the first place? And these are the reason that you go to work in the first place. I'm missing my dad. My dad's in a care home in the north of England. I cannot go and see him. And do you know what? Zoom and stuff don't mean anything to me, Dad. A telephone conversation means nothing to me, Dad. Right? Those days are gone. If he'd have got to 80, he'd be the cleverest bloke I know. He's 84. And dementia is winning. But when you spend time one with me, Dad, and we go out in the car and we have a talk and all this sort of thing, in minute sections, he's my dad, and it's amazing. I haven't got my dad. My hope now is that nothing happens to him during this time. I've had some friends who've lost people very, very close to them during this time, and that is a powerless, horrible thing. I'm just hoping that we get through this, and then we just get to spend time with my dad. And even though the memory may only be a minute, within that 59 seconds, but I tell you what, he's still good company.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Big Ian Donaghy, it's an absolute pleasure, sir. I do hope the next time we get to record an episode, we're an episode of the Care Home Show, that we're together. But keep sharing the positive, optimistic content that you're doing. And yeah, thank you for today. It's been a lot of fun. So good to see you, sir, and keep safe and well.
May I leave one little message to everybody that's out there working in social care today? Right, folks, make your lives more difficult to make other people's better. You are not unskilled. You are highly skilled. And you are, in my opinion, invaluable. Thank you really doesn't cover it. Bless your hearts, all of you, because I tell you, you're amazing. And this country will realise your true value throughout this. Thank you very much.
Yeah. On that note, we'll wrap that up. Big Ian Donaghy, absolute pleasure. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you very much, Simon. I really enjoyed that.
Good stuff.
Thanks, man.
There we go. That's a wrap.